In the thick forests of Normandy, a group of Allied soldiers found themselves trapped behind enemy lines. The date was June 14th, 1944, just days after D-Day. German patrols surrounded their position, and radio contact with command was impossible. Lieutenant Harris turned to his radio operator, Private Samuel Samdwyer, for a solution. Sam, known for his calm under pressure, scanned the frequencies for German chatter. With no orders allowing improvisation, he hatched a risky plan. Using his knowledge of German accents and phrases, he intended to impersonate an enemy officer. The men watched nervously as Sam keyed the microphone, fingers trembling but voice steady. Every heartbeat felt amplified in the silent forest around them. The plan, if it failed, would mean instant death. Sam's voice crackled over the airwaves in perfect German, issuing commands as if from a commanding officer. His confidence stunned even the most skeptical of his unit. German soldiers nearby, listening, began to react. Orders he mimicked caused confusion among enemy ranks, buying crucial minutes. Each instruction had to sound precise. Any mistake would blow their cover. Sam's heart raced, but his training kicked in. He recalled intercepted communications he had studied weeks earlier. His lips moved carefully, articulating words with convincing authority. For the first time, the trapped soldiers dared to hope. Sam had crossed a line most soldiers wouldn't dare, but necessity left no choice. The Germans hesitated, unsure whether the commands were real or a trap. Conflicting orders sparked internal chaos among their patrols. Sam maintained his tone, projecting both authority and urgency. Allied soldiers peeked through the foliage, counting enemy movements and positions. Every minute Sam held their attention meant a chance to escape. He used terms that hinted at reinforcements and imminent deadlines, manipulating enemy expectations. The sounds of distant artillery underscored the tension, reminding everyone of the ongoing battle. Sam's voice became a lifeline, guiding the men through a dangerous maze. Sweat dampened his uniform, but he stayed focused. One wrong word could turn the forest into a graveyard. Lieutenant Harris issued subtle hand signals, coordinating the movement of the trapped men. Each soldier had to remain perfectly still, while Sam continued to impersonate the enemy. The forest floor was littered with broken branches and fallen leaves, perfect for concealment. Sam shifted his voice, creating the illusion of multiple German officers conversing. He included orders about distant patrols that didn't exist, spreading fear and doubt. The Germans argued, their voices overlapping as they tried to make sense of the instructions. From the Allied position, the soldiers watched the enemy stumble through the forest, disoriented. Sam's ingenuity was paying off far beyond anyone's expectations. The danger felt surreal, almost cinematic in its intensity. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. Sam continued improvising, drawing on every scrap of German he had memorized. He mimicked urgency, frustration, and command authority. The Germans split up, following different fabricated orders, thinning their lines. Allied soldiers quietly repositioned, inching closer to safety. Harris whispered reassurances, but even he was amazed at Sam's audacity. The radio crackled intermittently, adding to the tension. Nature seemed to hold its breath, as if aware of the stakes. Sam's voice remained unwavering, a beacon amid chaos. His actions would soon determine whether 300 men lived or died. Sam's improvisation extended to mimicking urgent German distress calls. He described phantom attacks from phantom units in adjacent sectors. The Germans panicked, thinking they were under assault by superior forces. Allied soldiers began marking their path, taking advantage of the chaos. Every movement was calculated, silent, and precise. Sam adjusted tone and inflection, creating the illusion of multiple German voices. Sweat streaked his face, and fatigue threatened to overwhelm him. But his mind remained razor-sharp, aware that every second counted. The forest, once threatening, now seemed like a conduit to freedom. The men silently thanked their unlikely hero. German commanders debated orders, their voices sharp but uncertain. Sam seized the moment, issuing a command to retreat a fictional reconnaissance unit. The forest echoed with footsteps moving away, giving the Allies more room. Harris signaled the men forward, keeping them low and hidden. Sam's voice carried an air of finality, convincing the Germans of his authority. The subtle forest noises, birds, wind, and distant artillery made the scenario terrifyingly real. Soldiers whispered among themselves, amazed at the psychological trap Sam had created. Each step forward increased their chances of survival. Sam continued weaving the story, improvising every line with precision. Hours of tense maneuvering passed. Allied soldiers were nearing an open trail leading to friendly lines. Sam's voice continued to sow doubt, giving them precious cover. He invented fictional supply convoys, threatening airstrikes, and reinforcements. The Germans hesitated at every fork in the trail. Allied soldiers moved silently, guided by instinct and Sam's audacious plan. Even experienced soldiers admitted they had never witnessed such daring ingenuity. The forest itself seemed to conspire in their favor. Sam's face reflected exhaustion and concentration, but he did not falter. Each word carried life-saving weight. Suddenly, a German patrol appeared near the Allies' path. Sam's quick thinking came into play. He mimicked an angry officer calling out disciplinary actions. The Germans froze, unsure whether to approach or retreat. Harris signaled a detour, and the men quietly shifted course. Sam's mastery of timing was critical. A second too late could mean discovery. The soldiers held their breath as footsteps echoed past. The radio's static seemed deafening in the tense silence. Sam's plan had transformed a desperate situation into a controlled escape. The soldiers had never felt such a blend of fear and relief. As the group advanced, Sam continued improvising, issuing commands about imaginary artillery strikes. The Germans' confusion grew, and they fell further behind. Allied soldiers carefully navigated fallen logs and undergrowth. Every movement was synchronized with Sam's radio improvisation. Harris's respect for Sam deepened, realizing the man had taken full responsibility for lives beyond his own. Nature's sounds accentuated the tension, from snapping twigs to distant cannon fire. Sam's creativity and courage had turned an impossible situation into a tactical advantage. The escape route was almost entirely cleared. By late afternoon, the men reached a river that marked the edge of German patrols. Sam's voice now conveyed retreat and regrouping orders to phantom units. The Germans hesitated, then withdrew from the river zone. Allied soldiers crossed cautiously, exhaustion and adrenaline blending into relief. Harris signaled a brief rest, acknowledging Sam's genius. Sam's uniform was streaked with mud and sweat, yet his composure never wavered. Each man understood that this deception had saved hundreds of lives. The forest that once imprisoned them had become a corridor to freedom. Night fell, and the men regrouped on a safe ridge overlooking German positions. Sam continued to send occasional commands, keeping the Germans unsure of the Allies' exact location. Stories of phantom attacks and movements persisted across enemy lines. Allied soldiers tended to minor injuries, whispering thanks to Sam. Every soldier felt a renewed sense of camaraderie, knowing they owed their lives to one man's ingenuity. The distant sounds of the ongoing Normandy battle reminded them of how close they had come to death. Sam finally allowed himself a brief sigh of relief. Their mission to survive had succeeded against improbable odds. By dawn, the soldiers were within radio range of Allied command. Sam reported their location and situation. Command marveled at their ingenuity and resilience. The escape was considered a small miracle, and Sam's impersonation was classified as unauthorized but vital. Harris praised Sam in front of the group, acknowledging that his courage had saved not just 10 or 20 men, but nearly 300. The psychological impact of one man's quick thinking resonated deeply with everyone. Sam finally relaxed, allowing exhaustion to wash over him. The forest echoed with relief, a stark contrast to the terror of the previous day. News of the incident spread slowly through Allied ranks. Fellow soldiers admired Sam's audacity, and historians would later highlight it as an extraordinary example of field ingenuity. Lieutenant Harris recorded the events in his journal, detailing every nuance of Sam's impersonation. The story of the 300 saved men became part of unit lore, inspiring courage in others. Sam remained humble, attributing his success to training and necessity. The forest itself seemed to remember the bravery displayed among its trees. The event symbolized how intelligence, creativity, and courage could overcome raw force. Decades later, veterans recalled the incident with awe. Sam's daring impersonation was studied in military schools as an example of psychological operations under extreme pressure. The 300 men owed their survival to one radio operator's courage, quick thinking, and willingness to break protocol. The Normandy forest, once a scene of peril, became a symbol of ingenuity triumphing over danger. Sam's story remains a testament to how a single individual's actions can change the fate of many. History remembers not only battles, but also the human brilliance that often decides them.